I want to say this.
Totally.
I want to say one thing about receiving because this is a big freaking thing for people because of those also those painful moments that you've experienced and painful role models you had. Very often, what I see with people is like the man or the woman comes, and the person can't even receive that person or can accept their love because they're still in their brain, in their consciousness, in their energy, looking for that pain triggering partner. And when that healthy partner comes, they're kind of not ready, or they're ready and they're like maybe the vibration isn't a little bit matching. So and then they have to make that conscious decision of, okay, I'm ready to receive this.
Mm,
I'm ready for this healthier relationship
right.
instead
And
of going to that pain and trauma again.
totally. And I think if it's the right partner, they'll be able to see that and they'll be able to like hold that space and allow you to, lift and make those choices. I think one big thing too that happens in those types of relationships where one person's evolving and the other one's not, or like wants to stay where they are, they will often try to control the person who's evolving. And, like we had talked about in, I think, in our episode about suffering, the suffer sode.
Suffercast.
uh, yeah,
Hmm.
um, they'll try to control and bring that person who's going higher back down and keep them where they're at. I see this a lot with people, and I've been in that like for far too long. Um, yeah.
This is the place where you really need to set boundaries and say to, the other person is like, this is how it's going to be. This is what I want.
Hmm.
This is where I need to be. And
Yeah.
once you made that decision, this is not a place of compromise. If you see the other person not changing at all, not doing anything, not going to therapy, not opening themselves up,
Yeah.
not doing anything, basically
Or
wanting to
doing
stay
it
stuck.
doing it to pacify you, and like just going but not actually putting in the work. And
Th-
because a lot of people will fake it, a lot of people are really fucking good manipulators.
this is a very dangerous place. Unfortunately, this happens a lot, but it's usually you can still be you can quite quickly understand if this is happening, because if a person is really committed to change, you can see it in their patterns, in their daily patterns. It's like, subtle changes,
Hmm.
small changes. They're, leaving some of their addictions behind. They're, tiny shifts are happening. This is real change. But if those things are constantly still there and they're not getting better, they're going to that, therapist just to keep you there. Probably it will come to another energetic energetic crescendo, or a big place of break that will break most likely the thing,
Hmm. Which is good.
which can be very liberating.
Liberating, freeing. Yeah. Staying in those situations because of whatever reasons of your own design is not recommended by the cosmic belts.
It's not. And I think I want to share a little bit of my own personal
And
story as well.
I have a question for you that I
Okay.
want to ask after your story. Tell your story.
Hmm. So my story was a little bit about this type of with my current fiance. We were, during certain moments, we were having really dark places in our relationship. But every time a dark place presented itself, it was like we had to make decisions, and I was many times literally had to go to her and have a very direct conversation. And that conversation was every time it was like this. So we have this problem right now, and it's not okay to have this problem constantly because we're in a loop. We need to change it. We really need to change it because I'm in pain, you're in pain. We can't keep doing the same shit.
Right.
And and each of those decisions, I have them in my mind or conversations, and both people have to be on board. And I said, like, this is
Mhm.
what needs to happen. Are you on board? Do you want to do this with me? Because this is important, especially for me, but I think for both of us. And every time she really said yes, you know, and I think that's one of the really important hallmarks, maybe, or whatever the word I'm looking for right now, of a relationship that can grow and evolve. Both people need to be on board with what you're doing, and that requires open communication. Otherwise, it can take years of suffering or a short period of suffering, but it won't work. So have those conversations. Be clear of what you want. Be clear of what you desire, and understand that maybe there is something wrong, and it's important to talk about it. Otherwise, it won't freaking work.
Yeah, I think you said a lot there.
It's quite a. I think human relationships are so freaking interesting, and I
Hmm.
think right now I'm seeing more and more of the importance of communication between two people, and it
Yeah.
me and it surprises me a lot that most, and I, unfortunately I know a lot of relationships where people don't talk about these things, like what is going on with me, what is going on with you, where are we going as a couple,
Do
what
I
do I
do I give a shit?
do I give a shit? Like, this is important to
It's
give a
true. You
shit.
have to.
You have to, otherwise fucked up.
Yeah. Well, and as you were talking about it, I was really reflecting on my past relationships, and like I don't think that I've ever been in a relationship where that was the case, obviously, because I'm still, if I had been, I would probably still be in a relationship.
Most
But
likely.
it was like I've never actually had that person to be like, yes, I'm on board with this. It's always been, snaking and squeezing out of corners, and oh, now that the spotlight's on, it's like, oh, I have to own up. And it's like the truth is no, no, I don't care, for that person in particular. But um so that's thank you. Thank you for that.
But
Because it's confirmation though of like the right thing and what the right thing will feel like and be like.
I'm very curious to hear, were you able to even have those conversations of like, okay, so we have a problem, you know? Was that happening, or what was the situation? If you can share maybe a little bit.
In my most recent one, I would say the conversations were constant.
Mm. At least there was
Constant.
happening something.
They were happening constantly. Um, I would say the misstep or the friction would be that I wanted to go this way and that person wanted to go this way, but they were pretending that they wanted to go with me.
Okay.
And they just couldn't get to where I was at. They couldn't look at those deep wounds enough, or it wasn't the right time, wasn't whatever. And that's no one's fault. And it was a lot of pacifying me. Well, maybe if we do this, maybe if we do this, we would do anything around looking at the issue, anything.
Hmm.
And then at the same time, and this is classic, like, I recognize it later, but this is classic, like, um, toxic, I'll say toxic relationship stuff where, you know, slowly the draining of my finances, and the essence of who I am slowly becomes smaller and smaller over time. So slowly I don't notice it. And then one day I'm like, who am I? And it's not in a good way.
Hmm.
And that was the biggest wake up. I was like, I'm not who I am. And I'm